Welcome to the RSP Boiler Room. I'm Matt Waldman with the Rookie Scouting Portfolio. When you think of New Mexico State wide receiver Jaleel Scott, you think of catches like this. Fantastic play, isn't it? I mean, let's look at that again here. You're going to watch him, just arm bar this defender, come up and backhand the ball while he's skying over him. And look at the flexibility to catch that on the point, bending backhanded, and then with your head kind of tilted skyward in an angle that probably you can't even see that you're catching the ball because you can see the hand over the face mask here. He has the awareness to understand that he needs to get this back foot in, not the front foot, this back foot in first. Look at that awareness. That's just a thing of beauty. And he's palming that ball down to make the catch well and make sure that he still has control of it. That's fantastic. This is what people think of when they think of Jaleel Scott. Now, he didn't have a great Senior Bowl week, and I was at Mobile, and one of the things that I like to talk about with people when it comes to the Senior Bowl is that it often shows you things that may not show up on tape. Marvin Jones is a good example of a guy during his junior and senior years who wasn't much of a deep threat because he was used as a possession receiver. But he was a big-time deep threat as a sophomore, and you could also see that appear during practices at the Senior Bowl. At the same time, sometimes players don't have good Senior Bowl practices, and Jaleel Scott was one of those guys. He just didn't catch the ball extremely well. He dropped a lot of passes. Well, I've seen a good bit of Jaleel Scott's tape, and it looks a lot more like that you just see here and on the play before than what I saw in Mobile. So we're going to look at some of his tape and talk about things that you don't normally see or associate with him, which is, what we normally associate are these big-time catches, skying over people, even though this isn't technically a catch because he's out of bounds, bullying people. I want to show you the finesse part of his game because I think it's a very important aspect of his play that's overlooked, and I think make him a very underrated player in this draft. Let's begin with this out route here. You're going to watch him make a hard break. It's going to go out of the screen. You're not going to see it as well as you would like at this angle, but I still want to show you a couple of things that you can note when you're watching broadcast tape. One is you got the pads over the knees. He comes off the line very hard. Good acceleration here. He's selling the vertical in the stem from the beginning. And then you can see where the pads kind of go down at the top of the stem in the corner of this screen. And that gives you a good indication that he's dropping that weight pretty well. And he comes back to the ball, makes the catch with his hands, and steps out of bounds. Now we're going to watch it from another angle here in a moment. See how he drops that weight? He's almost like he's sitting in a chair, and it's in the 6'5", 6'6" range, 215 pounds. To be able to bend like this after you've been running at top speed and getting your pads over your knees, coming off the line in a good sprint, this is flexibility and fluidity for a wide receiver, any wide receiver. And for his size, that's important. So you see that, and then he has that kind of fallout break. Good catch over the helmet there. Very fluid, gets his feet in bounds. He's good to go. Very notable, something that you should be excited about when you look at him. He may not be the next Josh Gordon because he doesn't have that kind of explosive speed. But this is a guy with a lot of NFL wide receiver traits. We're going to look at a few more. Here's another one of these fallouts as the slot right receiver. You can see him again bending down, getting into that chair. He's doing this against Arkansas, against off coverage, and comes back to the ball, and he's still able to turn up field here. Again, it's all very fluid, so it's not just some sort of freakish thing. He runs these types of routes routinely and does a good job against them. And I know he's playing off coverage, so a lot of you will say, well, it's off coverage. You don't see that in the NFL. Well, yeah, you do. You see off-man coverage and off-zone coverage a lot in the NFL. It's just that you also see a lot more press coverage in the NFL. And let's take a look at some press coverage and see how Scott does. This is against South Alabama, and you're going to see him at the bottom of the screen. The score bar is in the way, but you're still going to get a good opportunity to see him execute with good footwork. He's going to have a multi-step move here, and he's going to work inside and make a flat break inside on this route.
Motions to Hunt.
Let's turn off the sound here. Let's do it one more time here. See that little hesitation and then that break inside? That's a really sweet move for a big man. So I know the score bar is in the way, but you could still see the feet. And that's the important part here. And then you'll get to see the hands at the top. But he's even drumming the arms and uses that arm over and a really flat break to get inside. I mean, to me, this is very impressive considering what we know about Jaleel Scott and what will be his calling card all pre-draft season, which is he's big and can sky over people. What we don't hear is that he's nimble and that he can make hard breaks and that he makes flat breaks and that he has some footwork skills and that he can use his arms and feet together to get off of a defender at the line of scrimmage. These are things to work with. These are really good things to work with. This is not, no offense to Ramses Barden, but I know a lot of people may think of Ramses Barden or James Hardy. James Hardy could make hard breaks like this. James Hardy didn't make tough catches over the middle like our man Jaleel Scott does. So if you're going to compare him to somebody, I'd probably say he's a mix of Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey in a lot of their traits. Some things he's better at, and I would say that that's, for Alshon Jeffrey, he's better than Alshon Jeffrey when it comes to certain types of routes and hard breaks. Brandon Marshall's a little more dynamic of an athlete, a little stronger too. But Scott looks like he has room to put some meat on his bones, and he even said at the Senior Bowl that he was looking forward to adding some weight and having that kind of Brandon Marshall frame. So I think he knows what he's trying to achieve, and that's a good sign too. I also like that as a tall receiver, that he's flexible. I mean, look at him get down here for this ball and scoop that up. You don't see that from a big man very often. So you want to tell whether this guy's a stiff or not? Well, number one, footwork and release moves. Number two, being able to drop the hips. Number three, being able to go low and dig out a pass like this on the move. I also like his smarts. He has some on-field smarts in terms of being able to work to the open area. You're going to watch him outside twin right here. He's going to be the guy on the outlet here. The quarterback's looking all the way to the other side. Pressure forces him to slide to the right and flush outside. Scott decides to work inside. And you can see he starts to get the idea as this middleman's closing in on him at the hash that maybe if he could go up this hash, he would get free for his quarterback. Now he ends up running into his own man, but he also ends up colliding the two defenders and is able to work upfield as a result behind one of them. Quarterback sees it. Wide open. First down on 2nd and 10. Nice conversion there. Here it comes again. Working across. Leading the two men into each other. Working downhill. So, people can spend all day talking about Jaleel Scott, the deep ball receiver, rebounder extraordinaire. And certainly that's a fun part of his game. But what's going to help him stick in the NFL and have a larger role is his ability to maximize the skills we're seeing right now, which are also, the footwork, the hip bend, the flexibility, the skill against zone coverage, hard breaks. These are all things that can make him a well-rounded route runner. He may never be a Josh Gordon, Randy Moss type of player, but he could be a double-digit touchdown receiver as a red zone guy and a deep threat who can also work the middle of the field. And that gives you a little bit more dimensions than meets the eye with Jaleel Scott. Thanks again for watching. For more RSP Boiler Room videos, you can check out my YouTube channel, the RSP Film Room, my site, www.mattwaldmanrsp.com. You can follow me on Twitter. Thanks again.